The latest episode is The Terror of Horseshoe Bay. And I half liked this episode. I liked the first half of the episode, and I didn't like the second half of the episode, which was more ghost stuff. But the first half of the episode was really good. It was a continuation of the mystery. So we know who the culprit is, right? Now our heroes want to find out how the culprit got a hold of the super rare poison. That's actually pretty interesting. So they try to draw a connection between the culprit and the culprit from an earlier episode who was an expert on poisoning. They also try to look into Ryan Hudson's background. Like, they try to figure out a way to prove Ryan Hudson was in town the night Lucy Sable died, because maybe that will exonerate Nancy's dad. And also, a minor subplot is that the culprit's still alive, apparently. I could have sworn the culprit got killed. It was a rather gruesome a rather gruesome death scene for the murderer. But yeah, the police are assuming he's alive because there's no body. So I guess he's immune to being electrocuted or something. I don't know. Maybe his ghostly sister saved him. But part of the reason this episode was so good was the mystery developed in an interesting way, and we actually had a culprit who makes sense. So the person who gave him the poison is Detective Karen Hart. And we know who she is. She's a character we've actually seen and talked to. As opposed to last week's culprit, Josh, the car guy. Sure, we've seen him like once or twice. I didn't even remember this guy's name, to be honest, when he was revealed as the culprit. But when Karen was revealed as the culprit, instantly light bulbs went off. I knew her name, I knew her entire story, because she's shown up a bunch of times. So that was kind of a big deal. I felt like that was more of a surprise plot twist than revealing the fact that Joshua's the culprit. The revelation that Karen is his co-culprit. Yeah, because, she's tied into the mystery because she was dating Nancy's dad for a while. She's the one who arrested Nancy's dad. And she was Lucy Sable's best friend. So she was secretly investigating the mystery on her own. So that actually makes a lot of sense that she was the co-culprit. But there's kind of a weird moment there where they're pointing out the vials of poison, and Nancy's like, oh, you don't have to be a chemistry major to know that the hibiscus is pointing downwards, when normally it points upwards. She didn't say the word hibiscus. She used some really high-class chemistry term I've never heard before. And so I was like, you don't have to be a chemistry major to use this word? I'm like, yes, you do. I have no idea what word you're talking about. So, apparently the way that the liquid looked in the tube proved it was just water instead of poison. And Ace proves it by drinking it in front of everyone. So, good job, Ace. And yeah, we had more of Ace's father, so that was okay. His father's going to be a police officer. I didn't know his father had a history with the police. I don't know. I kind of missed the first 3 or 4 minutes of this episode because my family was using the TV and they didn't want to get off the TV so I could watch my show. So I kind of missed the setup for the second half of the episode, which is there's this monster called Alkea, something like that, and it shows up in town once a year, and apparently you can summon the monster, and it does whatever you want. So yeah, it's another ghost episode. We have to summon the monster, and as I said, this is pretty much the halfway point of the episode. Like, Karen gets arrested at halfway point of the episode, and the second half of the episode is pretty much all of this Alkea monster, where they research the monster and they find a book which explains the ritual. So they all have to stand in a semicircle and then drip blood into the water, which is super gross. And then they have to swear some sort of oath. And Nancy does this in order to get the bones of Lucy Sable, which dropped into the ocean. So now they have the bones, and they pick the bones up and put them in the cooler. But the monster wants its toll, and its toll apparently is Owen Marvin, we saw a scene of Owen Marvin covered in blood, and then it started happening in real life. Like, blood went down his arm. It was super gross. I was super grossed out the whole time. Our heroes drag Owen out of the water to save him, and then George says, "We didn't finish paying the toll, Nancy." Then we had a commercial break, and we came back, and Ned's like, "What if the toll hasn't been paid, Nancy?" So both George and, not Ned, his name is Nick, sorry. Both George and Nick hammered in the point that this monster's not done. The Glykea's not done. It still wants Owen's blood. So, I thought that was a little strange. On two parts, it's like, oh, we know the monster wants to kill Owen. Then why did you save Owen? I get why you wanted to save Owen. You didn't want him to die, but it seems weird that you would save Owen and then go like, oh no, saving Owen was a terrible idea. Well, then why did you do it? Just saying. I'm glad they saved Owen, though. Yeah, so it looks like the monster is going to reappear, just like the dragon monster in the child's toy, where it reappeared the next episode. So I guess the Glykea monster is going to reappear. It's actually kind of a cool scene, because the scenery was great. It was actually really cool. It looked different. You could tell that this scene was shot outside. So it was really cool outside on the lake. Neat. And then Owen goes back home with Nancy. I assume Owen is at his place. Owen and Nancy do adult things together. So is this the first? I think it's like the second time they've kissed, actually. So they just start making out and then they do adult things together. I'm like, whoa, Nancy really taking huge steps without any prompting there, huh? I guess that's sort of like the first episode of the series. I barely know this guy. Yeah, let's sleep together. That's Nancy's thought process here. And I really hope it's Owen's house, because they established that Bess is staying at Nancy's house. So, yeah, and then Mr. Drew is also at Nancy's house because he's under house arrest. So that's basically it for the episode. Really cool developments with the mystery, catching the culprit's co-conspirator, but the culprit at large is still out there, so maybe he's going to reappear. Could be. And what's going to happen for Mr. Drew's trial? Hopefully he'll be saved, now that we have the bones of Lucy Sable and they're being analyzed as we speak. Carson seems very, very doubtful that he's going to be exonerated, and I'm not sure why. Is he a lawyer in this universe? I mean, he is a lawyer in this universe. He was giving legal advice to the Hudsons, but he doesn't seem to know much about legal proceedings, because he doesn't seem to be taking any legal options, like asking for a delay in the trial while the new evidence is being examined, which he should do. But the preview in the next episode's like, oh, we're going ahead with the trial anyway. And as he jokingly suggested, Nancy's going to have to jump in during the middle of the trial and interrupt with the new evidence and save him. So that could be interesting. Next episode is called The Haunting of Nancy Drew, and it looks like there's going to be more gross ghost stuff. There's even more gross ghost stuff. Nancy was like spitting out teeth in this episode. It was really nasty. I don't like it. So all the ghost stuff in this episode was nasty. All the mystery stuff was okay, pretty cool. So that's my opinion on this week's episode. Thanks for watching.